Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the weekly STEM Heroines Talk, powered to you by Girls for Tech and Innovation Africa. My name is Bernard Matovu, and I am your host for today. And our topic today is the impact of technology on the world, especially the youth. Our show is to celebrate African women and men in the fields of science, technologies, engineering, arts, and mathematics. Their personal journey is to inspire many young Africans, and in particular, African girls who are dreaming to be part of the next generation of innovators and solution makers in Africa and beyond. So today, the 23rd of September 2022, we are honored to have Miss Elisabeth as our guest. She is an IT security assistant at the United Nations. She is a member of the Women in Cybersecurity Uganda, and she is also a board member of Girls for Tech and Innovation Africa, which is aimed at supporting the girl child and educating girls in STEM and robotics Africa. So allow me, join me to welcome Miss Elizabeth. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Bernard. Good evening, everyone.
And for our cherished online participants and viewers, you are all most welcome today. Kindly feel free to share your comments, questions, likes on our Facebook and YouTube pages, and share the link of this live event with your contacts and networks. Once again, we welcome you, Miss Elizabeth, and without further ado, my first question to you would be: can you tell us more about yourself and your field of activity, your career journey, and why you chose this particular sector? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bernard. My name is Miss Elisabeth Busingye, and currently I work as an international United Nations volunteer in the United Nations mission in South Sudan under the IT security unit, which is under the IT section. As growing up, I've always loved computers. I've always loved anything that is technology oriented. So for me, being able to pursue IT as a passion and being able to pursue technology was one thing that I really wanted to do as a child. So I made sure I went through the necessary processes in terms of school, the subjects to study, in order for me to be able to do IT. And that is how my career in IT started. I have 10 years experience in the field of IT
Wow.
technology, venturing in different sections or units within the IT sector, so to speak. And for those that know IT, I've been able to do networks, hardware, server management, database administration, and now I have transitioned into IT security, which is a growing field within the IT industry. Um, so that's how I've been able to progress within my IT career.
Wow, that is so inspirational and powerful. So we thank you so much for that. And my next question to you is, what can you tell this student who achieves high school and wants to become like you, which studies in general and specifically will he or she need to undertake, and also the type of job that this activity would offer them?
Okay, when you look at information technology in general, you find there are very many areas that you have to learn, or very many areas that you have to master. What I can tell a person who's in high school is make sure that mathematics is one of your goals. I know we tend to say we studied subjects, but then they don't help. But mathematics helps both students in art subjects as well as students in science subjects within high school. Because when you're studying IT, some of the things you do involve a lot of mathematics, like statistics, calculus, and the likes. So you have to make sure that you hone your mathematical skills, but also I would say be passionate about what you're doing. Be consistent and passionate about your books, study well, and if you are determined to do IT, then definitely you will do it. Then as you progress, these days there are certifications that can be done, and you don't necessarily have to do them after high school. You can do them while you're studying in high school if you have time, or you can read about them so that you have some knowledge. And the beauty is we have technology now, we have internet. So utilize the opportunities you have with the internet you're given and look at subjects. For instance, let's say cybersecurity, look at certifications, online material about cybersecurity through checking YouTube channels and the likes. You'll find there are very many people who are giving free education on YouTube in terms of IT, where they're able to show you the elements, the theoretical areas, and as well as the practical areas where you can practice when you get a chance. Yes.
Yes, wow. So we should actually encourage our young children or our high school children to concentrate more like on mathematics because as you explained, I believe it's probably the core of these scientific fields. Yes. My
Yes.
next question to you would be you have worked incredibly hard to be successful in your field, the field of your activity. Can you tell us about the challenges that you had faced, how you overcame them, and how they have shaped you into becoming this strong woman that you are today.
Thank you, Bernard, for that question. Earlier on, I said mathematics is the core to IT. Maybe to take you back, when I was doing my A levels, I didn't actually do science courses. I did arts courses. By that, I mean I did
Wow.
history, economics, literature, and divinity. But I was very passionate about IT. So for me, what I did as soon as I went to campus, I was given a different course, but I strongly believed in my heart and with the passion and desire I had for IT that I would be able to succeed in IT. So I was able to talk to the dean of the Faculty of Science at the time for Uganda Matters University, and we came to an agreement, which was I had to ensure that I met the standard marks that required me to continue doing IT. Otherwise, I'd go back to the course I had originally been given. So for me, what I did was a lot of work, making sure I put in a lot of effort to make sure I am in class, I attend, even if I'm not in class and I have some free time, use the library, make sure I catch up because coming from an arts background to join a science background means you have to put in more effort than probably people that are within the science background. And luckily, I had friends who were willing to sit with me and guide me on some of the things I didn't understand in terms of the mathematics, the statistics, things that they had studied while they were in HSC that could have helped me easily study IT. So, doing a lot of research, even now as I speak, you cannot turn and say you're going to do your undergraduate and that's it when it comes to IT. IT is a changing field. Each and every year, each and every month, new things come up. So you have to do a lot of research. You have to be someone who likes doing a lot of research, someone who likes learning. You have to be teachable so that in case someone has to correct you, you're able to sit and listen and understand and willing to learn. That in itself is what helps you advance, especially in the field of IT. For me, that is what has helped me. My mentors who have been training me, as well as my ability to always want to read and research and understand and learn more about how technology is advancing and what new things are coming up in technology.
Wow. With strong passion and that transition that you did is really new and wow, it was just so powerful. So with strong passion comes hard work, and hard work eventually pays off. My next question to you would be in regards to this topic that we are discussing today, the impact of technology on the world, especially the youth. What are your thoughts about this topic in the particularity of your work? If you can enlighten us briefly about cybersecurity and why it is important today, in today's era, tell us how directly it is linked to our topic of discussion today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bernard. So, A brief about cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is a STEM within the field of information technology that focuses on ensuring that your systems, the applications that you use on your laptops, on your phones, are secure. I'll put it in context of an example, like if you're going to go and use the ATM, or if you're going to use online banking, your password is your password. You wouldn't want someone else knowing your password or being able to have easy access to your money. So
Yes.
for us in cybersecurity, what we do is to ensure within the organizations that we work for that the security measures are met. And how do we do that? By carrying out assessments to see if there are any vulnerabilities or risks within our systems. If we find those risks, then we look for ways of bridging that gap and fixing that issue. For instance, everyday things, a laptop, a phone, having an antivirus on your phone or on your laptop gives you a level of security. That means you're able to scan your systems, scan your flash disks, and ensure that they are not infected. Because just like you see, IT is growing, there are people out there who want to hack your systems, who want to destroy your information, destroy your data. So you'll connect a flash disk and it's infected, then you find you lose your work, right?
Yes.
Other
Yes.
people have gone the extra mile of they're able to remotely lock your computer. You'll see a link, click on it thinking it's genuine, and your computer is locked and you're being asked for money, which in the term of IT we call ransomware. So you see things like that. So cybersecurity for us ensures that those risks are mitigated and stopped where they are, so that people can be able to work efficiently and effectively without having to worry that they're going to lose their data or they're going to lose their personal information and things like that. So in the context of the youth, I will go back to the pandemic. When the pandemic started and schools were closed, some of the schools were able to do online studies, right? And they were using certain applications like Zoom. And cybersecurity comes into play in that your Zoom account has to be protected. So the passwords were restricted to the students through the parents to ensure that no one can have access to that password and probably show something that is inappropriate to the students, or information can be stolen, like students' marks, exams, the exams that they were carrying out online. Cybersecurity comes in such a way that it protects such exams from being hacked, because you don't want students having the exam before the exam date and then having to cheat and things like that. So that's where cybersecurity comes in. So in terms of the youth, we ensure that cybersecurity has mitigations whereby children do not access things they're not supposed to access, because with the liberty of having to use the laptops to study, that gave them room to access different platforms, YouTube, um, Netflix, and the likes. So having restrictions and ensuring that certain things are not viewed by the children, because you do not want to promote some things that are not appropriate to the young generation. So having mitigations through cybersecurity, that's how you can restrict some of those things.
Thank you so much. I recently encountered a problem where I clicked on a link on Facebook, and little did I know that they had hacked my Facebook. Someone hacked it and probably locked me. So it took a lot. I needed to seek uh, more computer IT people to assist me on that. So I really, really commend that work. It must be really hard, and it takes a lot to protect people's information. So thank you so much on that. Another question would be a child's upbringing today in today's world differs greatly from the past. It often seems like the days of muddy jeans, playgrounds, and face-to-face social interactions are gone. We are now calling for debates on subjects such as screen time for electronics, ebooks, interactive online games. What are the real benefits and consequences of having infants and toddlers learning mainly from electronics, and how these children are impacted by what seems to be a constant stream of information?
Thank you, Bernard. Just like you've said, rarely do we see kids these days going out to play in the grass or the playground. Most times, children are comfortable sitting and watching TV or being online using their laptops and their tablets to play games and things like that. And like you've said, there are pros and cons to that. One of the I'll start with the disadvantages. One of the disadvantages of having a lot of screen time for children is they will lack the social ability, being able to socialize with their fellow age mates. Because you're always looking at a laptop, always looking at a tablet and playing video games, you find some children are becoming antisocial. There's an increase of depression within the youth. I'll give you an example. There's a child, I think during the pandemic, who committed suicide. Why? Because they played a video game and they were beaten. They lost. So to them, that felt like failure in the greatest sense. And as a result, they killed themselves. And those are some of the things that we see with a lot of interaction with being online for children. The other disadvantage is their concentration span kind of lowers. If they're talking to a person and the person is not going at the pace at which they're used to in terms of the cartoons they watch and online, they will, for instance, not concentrate or not listen to the person. So you find sometimes there's a gap there. They are not able to freely understand or easily understand the way they would when they're doing practical activities. The other thing is I will say the internet in general is also not the best place to be for a child, because you might give the child a tablet, put them on YouTube, and they're watching something, and then a link will show up saying, click this, and then you can view this. And then you find a child will click that link and then end up probably on a pornographic site or a site that is encouraging inappropriate behavior. So things like that are the disadvantages you find with children staying online 24/7, because of that, of access to that, you find they will lack some of the skills that they require in terms of how to deal with human interactions, how to learn, and how to grow, because they are limiting themselves to those devices. And you find some children will never want to leave the house, where you find children have phobias of a person can't leave their home, they can't go to the outside world because they're scared of leaving the environment that they have grown so accustomed to. And this happens a lot with people who do like video games, the video gamers. You find a child is so focused and focused on their video game, you cannot convince them to do anything else. Those are some of the consequences that you find. The advantages of technology to the children is context of during the pandemic, children were still able to have an education. Those that were able to have access to the internet could continue with their schooling, so they didn't miss out on years, right? Unlike the
Yes.
children who didn't have that privilege. The other thing is, if technology is used properly by children, they're able to carry out a lot of research, and this promotes independence in some way, in some sort of way. They don't have to fully depend on gaining knowledge from one stream, which is whatever the teacher has given you, that's it, that's final. They're able to go back home, sit on the computer, and then do further research on the topics they have learned, and then they can gain more knowledge and get more points or more ideas on what to do. And that also, in a way, helps them mentally in terms of being able to understand what they are studying, not just learning for the sake of passing exams, but understanding the things as well. The other advantage of the technology is it encourages a child to get a mind of, let's say, entrepreneurship. For instance, let's go to campus. The youth that are in university, some of them have been able to open up online shops, online platforms to be able to do entrepreneurship, sell products and commodities online. And that in itself has helped them get the business mind and be able to to survive and learn, because we can't say everyone's going to become a doctor, an engineer, an IT specialist. Some people have to do business as well, and that has also helped in terms of technology. I will say this, however, I think we need, as a society, we need a balance between technology and the customs of having children go out and play and interact with their
yes,
fellow age mates. That in itself, I think, would take us further and will improve the mindsets of our youth, as opposed to
yes,
not being able to balance both sides. Because if we can balance both sides, because technology is here to stay, but then we also need children to be children. So being able to balance technology as well as interactions should be able to help a child grow and become a better person in future. Thank
mm,
you so much.
yes, true. Because what I've noticed these days, teenagers use technology or basically the internet on the larger part of the day. You find that even when you find people walking when they are not actually looking where they are going, but they are on their phones, and we don't know what they are doing there. We don't know if it falls in the lines of being safe and rewarding. We are not sure if they are misusing or overusing, or even if they are responsible for the teenagers in most cases, because we have seen videos of uttermost nonsense on online that are being posted mostly by teenagers. So uh, can you talk about the risks and effects of technology on teenagers, and also what problems to look out for to help them to protect them to use technology uh, safely? Because you find that even these days, uh, these children, these teenagers know more technology or understand phones better than the parents. So what should we look out for, and how to help them, protect them, use technology safely?
Thank you, Bernard. The biggest risk I'd say in terms of teenagers using technology, like you've said, because as parents, we won't know exactly what to look out for or how to tell what they are doing in terms of what they're using those phones and laptops for. However, there are
Yes,
mitigations that we can set up. For instance, there are parental control applications whereby you're able to
okay,
block certain sites and categories of sites and things like that. So that even if they're using their phone and then they try to access this site, they are not able to access it. But just like you've said, teenagers are very brilliant people. When they set their minds to learn something, they will learn it. So it's more of, I would say, involvement. Let parents be involved in what their children do.
mm,
Let parents keep
yes,
interacting with their children, because we live in a society whereby sometimes it's a bit difficult for parents to be able to socialize with their children, because their children will feel they're being invaded in terms of invasion of privacy. At the same time, the parents might be a bit busy and they're not able to interact freely with their children or see their children as often. But I will say that if we can continue a discussion between parent and child, an open ended discussion, as well as putting up mitigations and having restrictions on the children so that they know this and this is approved, this is not approved. If you pass that line and do something that is not approved, and it is, and of course, there are apps that tell parents what is being accessed. Look at, for instance, children who have like the Mac tablets. Those tablets can be monitored by the parents, right?
mm,
Remotely.
yes,
As well as Android, you can put apps and then monitor what your children are viewing, what they're using them for, and have restrictions on what they access. So being able to monitor that shows a child that I know my dad, my mother will see all these things, so I cannot watch this. And also talking to them openly and having discussions with them, telling them this and this is inappropriate, it should not be done. Because at the end of the day, they'll go to school, meet their friends. Their friends maybe have access and they're viewing it. While you, on your end at home, you're restricting it. They will still be able to get that negative information from their friends.
yes,
So being able to have an open conversation with them shows them that fine, even if they go to school and their friends are like, no, you can do this, this, and this, and this. If they know they have had a discussion with you as a parent and you have a good relationship relationship with your child, definitely that child will say, no, my mother, my father said I shouldn't do this, so I won't do it. You see. So it's more about how to train and teach our children and also be living as an example for them. It's one thing to tell your child, don't do this, and then your child sees you doing it. A child will imitate what they see, right? A teenager will imitate what they see. A parent telling a teenager, do not click on these links on the phone, and then the child finds you watching those exact links. You see, there's a disconnect there. So it's more of be the example that you want your child to see. At the same time,
Yes.
find mitigation ways to restrict, because you'll find some cases of suicide that have happened, depression that have happened, is because children are bullied online, right? A child is bullied on WhatsApp, and then because they don't want to tell you that they're on a similar page, a group page as friends, and being bullied, they're like, how do I tell my mother I'm being bullied or my father I'm being bullied, and those things. And then someone posts and says something negative, and then next thing you know, the child has passed on only to discover that they were being bullied online and things like that. So we need to have open conversations with our children to see how best to help them and protect them, so that when some things happen, they are able to fight against it or be able to openly come and talk to us as parents and tell us this and this is happening and I need your help. Yes.
So, with all the pros and cons that have been laid down, those ones are somewhat sometimes inevitable. And yes, that is very true. For to have an open conversation, for a parent to be a friend to his or her child, uh, can also help that as in the regard to regard the degree of safety towards technology. So to visit the sites that are very important and the sites that are useless to the children. And so finally, my last question to you would be
Bernard, just to add
yes,
on
yes,
something, I'll give an example. For instance, in China, China has restricted their children to have only 1 hour of gaming time,
oh, true,
meaning a
true,
child is given strictly 1 hour to play a game. At the end of that 1 hour, the device is given back to the parent, and they focus on other things and do other things that are productive.
very
And
true,
that
very
restriction in itself is grooming the child to know that I have a specific time slot to do ABCD, and then I have to go back to my books, right? And on top
true.
of that, they make sure that they screen what game is going to be played, because not all games are safe as well.
Yes, yes, true, true, true. Yes. So, finally, as a woman in cybersecurity, I've learned a lot from you, and I think it is such an exciting area to work with. So, how can you encourage our youth to enroll in a technology career like cybersecurity?
First and foremost, I would say make sure you have the passion for it. Don't go and do cybersecurity because someone has made it look lavish. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of commitment and a lot of sacrifice. And like we said earlier, whatever you decide to do, it always entails a lot of work, sacrifice, and commitment. So, if you want to pursue a career in cybersecurity, you can go to, for instance, career guidance. We have career guidance that is carried on within schools. When they bring people who are teaching about technology, you can ask them about what track they followed in terms of cybersecurity. For instance, to give an example of myself, I did information technology, a bachelor's of science in information technology from Uganda Matters University, right? Then I did a postgraduate diploma in information technology as well from Amity University, New Delhi, in conjunction with Makerere University. And then after that, I did a master's in ICT management, right? And then currently, I'm studying and doing certifications in cybersecurity. But all that, of course, is encompassed with work experience, because you cannot. I encourage people to have hands on work experience before they pursue the other degrees that they're going to do. For instance, during undergrad, you find you have internship. Utilize that opportunity of internship,
True,
right?
true.
Get mentors, get trainers, people who will train you on what you want to do, because IT is vast. So you find you can branch off into different sectors within IT. And if you choose to branch off into cybersecurity, there are certifications that are there for people to do in cybersecurity. And you don't have to wait to say, I will study them when I get money to do the certification. No. There are online platforms that are free where you can study at your own pace, so that by the time you get the money to do a certification, you've already gained some knowledge, and then you're able to easily transition into what you're doing. One, utilize the opportunities of YouTube. YouTube has very, very many good opportunities where there are trainers who give full tutorials on everything to do
Mm,
with cybersecurity from the beginning to the end, with whatever new thing has come up. They always add it and update. So use those trainers, use YouTube, use those opportunities. And if you have a mentor who can give you career guidance and walk you through the training, then make sure that you utilize that opportunity. I have mentors, I've had mentors since I started working in 2011, and I still consult all those mentors in terms of what my next path is in terms of my career.
true. Yes, true. So technology is here to stay because every day it is advancing. So a lot of reading has to come in all the time. It affects the way people communicate and learn and think. It helps society and determines how people interact with each other on a daily basis. It plays an important role in today's society, basically.